I'll just introduce myself to start, and I might just kind of go back and introduce myself again as I chime in. As we talk more, we dive deep. I love doing these. I love doing workshops, but specifically this workshop has been resonating for years with clients and patients of mine. It's a big one. Stress, inflammation are some of these like two big words we sometimes read when we Google something, right? And I like to even say when I start workshops, or, when I dive into it a little bit deeper, mindful of Google, right? You might even Google the topic of this workshop before you came today. But it can be, so positive, but also so negative at the same time. So there's a lot of mixed information. Influencers nowadays obviously are on social media. So we will dive deep into, and I'll have room at the end for Q&A, but really understanding what nutrition does to our bodies, causing stress, inflammation. So for me, a little bit of my background, I have always been interested in nutrition. I'm a former athlete, so D1 athlete, soccer, go soccer. But I played basketball too. No, but just in general, whether, athlete or not, in life, you're thrown challenges that you're not really aware of. And I'm Mediterranean, so I am Greek. I mean, yes, I obviously, I preach this because the science is behind it, but I also do live it, and I grew up in it. Actually just came from Greece about 2 weeks ago on my vacation. And, even then, even going back to the country, it's inspiring because you're like, how do I bring this here for people to help heal and understand, right? And I wish I can immerse everybody into it to understand what it really means. How do I incorporate it into my regular practice, right? What I do now without it feeling so different. But I dove into it. I had health challenges. So I, again, always love nutrition. I love fitness, but as life shifts, kids, things change, stages change. What does that mean in this stage of my life and the issues that I'm dealing with, right? So I am a nationally board certified health coach, so work very aligned with the American Medical Association. I was very immersed in the Duke program, so Duke University. Love their ethical practice and just how they approach health in a whole, right? All those elements and dimensions. Today, we're just talking about one, nutrition, but there are a lot of other ones when it comes to aligning just your overall well-being, right? For sustainable success. So, but nutrition is a big one. So I dove deeper in nutrition. I also am a nutritionist, so certified in that. I am officially adding on to my major. I'm going to be more functional medicine nutrition come next year. I really believe in this practice and what it does and how you can really feel good in your body, right? So I'm also yoga. I became a yoga certified practitioner. I'm an experienced yoga teacher. We'll do a little meditation, just not meditation, but it's a little grounding practice in a moment. And really centering yourself, because mindfulness is a big one about when it comes to choosing foods and why we're eating, what we're eating, how we look at it, right? Our relationship with food. But stress is a big one. So how do we also handle stress through nutrition, but also, just breathing, grounding, centering yourself in crazy moments, crazy days. Especially the holidays, right? That's a big one. So, any questions as of right now? I'm going to dive into just a couple minutes of just a little grounding for us before we dive into this. And really quick, Michelle, I can't, so if somebody has questions, I, for whatever reason, can't see my message box. I'm not sure why that's not popping up, but just.
You might have to expand. Do you see the three dots on the right of your Zoom controls? It says more.
Oh, it's at the bottom. Okay.
Or if you pull that whole bar up and expand it, you'll see it.
Okay.
You'll see the chat little bubble. If not, I can moderate it for you. So don't, either way.
I'm gonna do that. Okay. I see the three dots. I don't know why it's not opening. It's but that's okay.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah, you should yeah, there should be a way that you could just expand the view. What was that?
I'm sure it's super easy and I'm having a moment.
Yeah, no, I think it's not easy. That's the thing. It's like everything's like hidden, you know?
Yeah. I'm like,
It's like you don't even know which thing to click on or what's
I
going to
gotta
end
click
it.
left.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
love it.
So
All right.
the
Well,
view, if you see view up in your right, you can click on that and you can click on, standard and or you could exit full screen. Um, and you
yeah.
can, if you see exit full screen, that will kind of bring your controls up more so you
Okay.
can see the chat bubble.
Okay. Well, we'll play with that in a moment. I'm sure I'll figure
Well, how
out
about let me put a chat in there and see if you see it.
some buttons.
That might pop up. Do you see it
Oh
now?
yeah. Now
Okay.
that's okay. That's what I was like, I know it's somewhere, but now I see it. Okay, cool. Because it wasn't there.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, we're on the same page. All right. Well, I want to now obviously I can't see some of your faces, and that's okay. You can just kind of listen to my voice or not, right? But I want to take a moment just to arrive. I want to just take a couple of breaths and just sit down in your chair, whatever it is that you're sitting in. Maybe a comfy couch on this Wednesday morning or afternoon for some of you. But just to ground, just to really breathe, take a couple of deep breaths. So as you're sitting, whatever it is that you're doing, even standing, just find your feet flat on the ground and let those palms just kind of soften for a moment in your lap. And maybe even just take like a shoulder roll or two, any kind of shimmies in the body. Then take a big breath in and a big exhale. And just breathe, right? So just arrive to your own breath cycle. And I offer just two options. So if you don't want to close your eyes, you're like, I need to look and see what I'm doing. Keep them open, right? But if you can, find a focal point, which I'm sure it's in front of like a screen or your keyboard. Or if you want, just soften your gaze and let those eyelids just kind of melt over your eyes for a moment. So, and then just breathe, right? So take a couple of big breaths in, shoulders kind of down and back. And just observe the breath as you slowly, slowly take your time to exhale out, right? And just notice any sensations, any thoughts that are floating around, observe those. And not necessarily controlling them, but just observe them. And just a little stillness, a little moment here to take any thoughts that don't necessarily pertain to this workshop, anything that you came in with to this workshop, put it in like a little box on the side of your desk or wherever you are, and just leave it there. They'll be there when we are finished. This time is just for you. Ask what you need, observe what you wish. And I am super excited to come in and talk and help. So let's take a big breath in, just slow, controlled. Mouth open, just let it go. So just flutter your eyes open, come back to the space, come back to your screen, and let's dive in, right? Cool. Okay. So anybody that may just arrived, I'm Irene again. I'm just super excited to share my passion about nutrition, about how we can just feel a little bit better, even if you take a little tidbit, little nugget from this workshop today and apply it to your everyday. Love to hear how it feels, love to see what you notice. But to start, you see my first screen here, and it really does start from the inside. I created this like little group called Internal Hugs. It was a word that I read in one of my readings. I don't know when, but it just resonated with me. How do, we give ourselves hugs, even sometimes physical, right? And then we love others, but how do we love ourselves from the inside out? Because it really does matter. What we fuel ourselves with is going to show on the outside, whether it's physical, mood. You're going to notice it, right? So what we eat is a big, big, big deal. I like to ask folks, are you ready? Are you ready for a healthy life? Are you ready to dive in to changing your current habits, right? Changing and not necessarily all at once, but just seeing, understanding, and education is a big one. So really understanding what it is that is causing chronic pain in my body, what's causing inflammation, is what I'm eating causing more stress for me, right? So those are again just some of the little nuggets, and I'll have a ebook at the end of this. I'll send it to you, Michelle, or whoever, maybe individually. So at the end of the day, you guys will have that and just a little guide to come back to. Any questions for me now, just before we even start? Before we dive into a little bit deeper. And I wanted to also just ask, because I know some folks are here for, or I guess who I want to ask, my question is, what are you, anybody want to share what they're here for? Whether it's like a personal experience or maybe something to help you grow your practice with, or anybody would like to share what that might be of your why for showing up today, right? No. Okay. Well, I share mine. So I shared mine, right? So I can't wait to guide you a little bit deeper. So let's go to the next slide.
Irene, there's somebody, Tammy actually put an answer in the chat. Do you see that up?
Oh, okay. Now I do. Sorry. Not trying to dismiss you. My mom, okay, so yes. Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Tammy, for sharing. And Marianne, right? Types of food for inflammation. Perfect. So we are going to dive into that. I'll definitely be answering those two questions for sure. Let me, there we go. Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing. So yes, we're going to dive into both of those definitely today. And I wanted to start off by, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm having like issues with this box. Okay. So a little, just a visual that I talk about. And I can go about numbers and percentages of nutrition that, and foods that cause inflammation in the body, right? And foods that can heal. This is what I wanted to show first. I apologize. So this pyramid. So I do preach Mediterranean lifestyle, Mediterranean eating. Why? Why do we talk about these foods? One, this type of eating, it is a lifestyle, right? So you see at the bottom, I like to share that there's the everyday physical activity and just the social aspect of when we eat our meals. And then it talks about the pyramid. So you show some of the foods, just vegetables, whole grains, because those are pretty prominent in this type of diet. So the Mediterranean lifestyle and diet is, if not the number one, besides two others, the elimination diet, that really helps, and if not improve, remove chronic illness and disease. And it's also very sustainable. Why? It's another type of eating. I don't necessarily say diet sometimes. I do say type of eating to start to maybe explore if it isn't something that you're already doing. It is a powerhouse of antioxidants, and that's another slide that I'll show you in a minute. Just foods that help you reduce stress in the body that aren't increasing stress, right? So if anybody can answer, I'm going to pull up that chat box. I don't know why it keeps, now there it goes. Now I see it. It just like disappears. Okay. Sorry. Anybody like to share what foods they think causes inflammation in the body? And I'll go over some of those. But anyone kind of feel like they can kind of take a stab at what that might be, what you might think? Yes, sugar, processed foods. Yes, process. Yes, that's a big check, right? Sugar is a big one, and the types of sugars. Starch is another one. What type of starches? Like white flour, those types of starches. But there are, again, misconception that I like to share is a lot of folks will say bread is bad. It's not good. It's, potatoes are bad. Carbohydrates, I can't have them. And that's another thing I like to also talk about. And these are things I talk about deeper into other workshops, but this one really is about showing you guys what the pyramid looks like, what types of foods are okay. It's just how you eat them and when you eat them is a big deal as well. So bread is not bad. Grains are good, right? Potatoes, but we're looking at one of the bigger culprits that causes stress on the body is weight gain, and the stress that it causes on the body in different levels. So how do we reduce that? The number one, again, is eating whole foods, whole grains, vegetables, and not making them bland. One of the first things I'll say in my programs, somebody's like, what kind of a meal plan am I going to get? So it's not going to be steamed broccoli and like steamed potatoes or something. I don't know. It's going to be flavor. There are going to be tons of just different foods, but I talk about a time capsule, right? Like a time capsule. It's called a food capsule. What is your go-to? It's like, what are your foods that you're like, oh, I know I can cook this. If I can't cook it, I know I can get it from somewhere that can produce it for me, that I can order it, right? That comes to my doorstep. Because everybody has a different lifestyle. Everybody has a different way of eating, but how do we make that and how do we create that so you can help improve your lifestyle and just your quality of life, right? So any questions on this pyramid? Because I talked, yeah.
So I'm just looking at this and it says, so meat, it's weekly, less often, and then fish twice a week. So are you saying that a lot of the meals should be vegetarian?
A lot of them are more plant-based. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, it really is. And how do we create that through plants? So I get this question a lot. I even have a workshop that's called How to Go Vegan. That is, people are under hearing it more, and there is actually a more green version of a Mediterranean diet or lifestyle. So it's actually the more plant-based version of Mediterranean eating. And what does that even mean? And how do I actually create that for my home when I really love red meat and I love, chicken and fried chicken. And so I say moderation. I really do. It's a balance, and it's not all or nothing, and it's not bad or good. But it's understanding and looking at food in a way of, how do I fuel my body? What does it make me feel good? Right? Because you're here now today that the foods that we eat are causing stress in our bodies, and it's causing this inflammation, which is just exacerbates things internally. And I have a little quote I want to read also, just from like research from a doctor. But 70% of deaths in the US are related literally to disease and inflammation and chronic. That's a common link. And that includes cancer, heart disease, all of those that fall underneath that metabolic space. And it just doesn't have to be that way. That's something that I preach, and I want to support in any way, because I can tell you all about this and tell you the nutrition, tell you what to eat. But if one, you're not ready, or if you're looking at it like, I don't know if I can do this, or, any kind of doubt, that's where like that coaching piece comes in, because yes, you can, but how do we create this for something that really is sustainable for you, right? Because it's an individual practice. It's nobody's one way. Your way is not going to be my way. My way is not going to be your way. Right. So yeah, when I do meal plans, good question, because when I first say, I don't necessarily dive into macros unless it's needed. I get clients and patients from, I want to lose 5 pounds, to really about how do I eat, how do I cook, right? Even to, I need to lose 200 pounds, or, whatever everybody's journey is. But whenever I start to say you need 45% carbohydrates, has to come from your macros. Let's say if we talk macros, 45% is carbohydrates, but it's what kind, and helping you understand that, like kale is not the same thing as a potato, but they fall under that marker. Different diseases, different issues calls for different types of eating, right? But this one, if they're on any other specific chronic, let's say Crohn's disease or something, just saying, yes, you can eat bread, but what kind of bread? Again, I just came back from Greece thinking, there are only 3 ingredients in this bread and it's on the street. You can get it everywhere. I'm like, how do we create that back home? Because yeah, eat bread, eat your bread. But how much are you eating? And am I getting enough vegetables as well throughout the day? Not coming just from a bread carbohydrate source, right? So I love to share this. I think this is a cool model, different than what you'll see sometimes in the US. But this is the next one that I want to talk about. So I get this question a lot. So I'll give you guys a minute. I'm going to just kind of blow it up on my screen. Is that helpful to everybody to kind of see it a little bit larger? Okay. So there's a lot of writing in there. But I talk about antioxidants, and it's something I even have behind me. And this is truly, you guys, one of many. Chia seeds is a big powerhouse. Has anybody ever had chia seeds? Again, I officially have the message box up with the screen so I can see everybody writing. Cool. Yes, you guys. So, I'll tell my mom, my 70-year-old mom, she's like, seeds? What? I don't even know what you're saying, because that wasn't necessarily their source, right? It was other forms as well that were more accessible. Yes, put them in your smoothies, make chia seed pudding. These are a powerhouse for one, fiber as well, which is also something that the US lacks in the diet, but antioxidants. And man, it's delicious and it's versatile. If you have no issues with seeds, obviously, but I highly recommend that for like a bridge snack sometimes, or just even in the morning. Make that chia seed pudding overnight. It's a huge time saver when it comes to overnight cooking, and you guys can store for 3 days in the fridge. Great for meal plans and just kind of planning your week out. So any questions, anybody, from just a little bit of information here I wanted to share when it came to what to eat and what not to eat, right? Things that are harmful, which you guys mentioned. So anything super sweet, refined, overly greasy, so all the fried foods. Another question I get is, do I eat French fries? Or am I allowed to eat French fries, right? Is French fries a thing? Yes, you can, but it is how you cook it and what temperature and what it is that you're putting in. So yes, eat potatoes, eat French fries, and eat them in just like pan oil, right? Heat up some olive oil, change of oil, use one of those tools, any kind of air fryer, but have your potatoes. They're delicious. Just be mindful of having it outside, just fast food restaurants, basically. Or any restaurant, really. I don't think they pan fry their potatoes. Do I recommend a brand of oatmeal? Not necessarily a brand. Ba Mill is always a good brand, but really, as long as it's just 100% oats, you're good to use any brand. And with oatmeal, that was another so again, these are just really good. Screenshot it. I can share it with you, Tammy, Michelle, if we want to share some of these slides, right? If that's doable. Another big one that I do talk about are beans, because I get a lot of just low iron deficiency in a lot of my clients and patients. And you'll see beans a lot in the Mediterranean style eating and all different forms. I think I've had many folks say I haven't cooked lentils in so many different ways ever, but they're so high in iron. They're so good for you, and protein as well, and fiber. So I talk about that in depth when we talk about nutrition and just inflammation in the body and what supports it. So I'm going to click on to the next slide. If you guys, again, want a copy of this, I can always send it over. Okay, so I'd love to share this because if everybody see this, it's kind of blown up. This is really big. I think I can make it smaller, but I get a lot of questions when we do meals, meal plans. Timing doesn't matter. I get a lot of questions about intermittent fasting. Is that the better way to eat? it really is, again, an individualized practice. So whatever works for you is what works for you. But in your day, I do get questions about bridge snacks. And ideally, the most ideal way to eat is our 3 meals a day and one bridge snack or just a little pick me up, right? Depending on your day and how long it is, without going too long without eating, because that can cause cravings and stress on the body. But just a healthy to not so just a less healthy way. Just a little slide here to show you guys. Now, bars are not, if you can go whole foods, and this is obviously more dry, but if you guys can have whole foods, more just vegetables, but if this is a grab and go and this is all you have, all you can find, these are just better swaps that you might see at the just Wawa and grocery store and just different places. So some quick meals. Who does just crave pasta a lot, right? Who wants that refined pasta typically, or who does enjoy like zoodles and spaghetti squash? So I do get this also a lot, and I pulled this up because the question is, I love pasta. How do I not eat pasta? And I'm not saying don't eat pasta ever, but if you can find obviously a cleaner way, a less refined way of eating it, it's not going to trigger inflammation in your body, right? But other options are something like this, a spaghetti squash that you can make multiple different ways. I have just Mediterranean style, taco style anyway, but another great option to swap out some of that refined stuff and maybe try something else. Super easy to make too, guys, and it definitely stores great for the next couple of nights for food. Any questions so far with some of the foods and some of the items we talked about? Anybody? No. Okay. Cool. I'm going to keep going just a little bit here. And I'm just starting to, and I like to kind of just really also explain the simplicity of having a plan. And once you kind of visualize what's going to work for you, and you can really simplify prepping, meal prepping, and options to take with you throughout the week. So you're just prepared because you have an idea, you have a plan, you're committed to the practice, you're ready to go. But then you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what to cook. I don't know how to store it. What goes together. Big one that I talk about are salad jars. Has anybody had one before? And yes, you can freeze a squash. I freeze it separately, just to answer your question, Tammy. So I would freeze them separately and then combine them together. Yeah. But salad jars are another go-to. So let's say the protein that you make for another meal in that meal plan, you're going to add into the salad jar, and how you layer it is important too. Oops, sorry. But these, you can be stored like you have 5 lunches in your fridge, and just a powerhouse of antioxidants of avocado and different vegetables. And again, sprinkle your hemp seed on there. Just another, I wanted just to share it. Just, these are really common, easy. And if you can't create this, I say, here's some options that you can have at the grocery store. If you guys, again, don't have the time to meal prep, that's okay. You can still find foods that help improve your health, that are just easy to make and have to go to. All right. So I'm gonna go, I want to share. All right. So a little bit here, this is me. Oops. Oh my goodness. Okay. I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. Okay, this is me just doing a typical walkthrough. I usually do a lot of grocery store tours, and I wanted to share a little bit about how I got, when we shop, we look at foods on the outside, right? Everybody's heard that, like walk around, because frozen foods are okay too, but just be mindful of how much sodium, because that creates stress on the body, depending on what you're eating. But going whole and eating those whole foods, cleaner foods, is one of the number one ways to help when it comes to nutrition for stress and inflammation. If you can buy them whole and eat them that way, wonderful. How you cook it matters too, and what you cook it in. But shopping the perimeter is a big deal, right? And really understanding, can I walk those aisles that are foods that cause a little bit more inflammation in my body with processed foods, bags and chips and crackers. But understanding when we, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Oh, why is this thing coming? I'm sorry. I feel like I clicked like one button and then it just.
For some reason that happens all the time.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah.
Is this just.
Yeah, the control is always on presentations, always give an issue. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, all right. I apologize, you guys. Like that.
Yeah, it's not you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when I really want to go back to that's, we can have the foods that we're eating, we can learn how to eat and improve our health and what it is that we need for inflammation in the body. But if we kind of take a step back and think, okay, how do I control my impulses, right? Because some of the foods that we're eating are causing us to crave, or causing us to inflame internally, and it's not in a healthy way, and it's for just too long. It damages our tissues. But at the core, why are we choosing certain foods, right? What is it about the foods that we're eating that we know, maybe don't know, but maybe we do know, that are hurting us internally and actually fueling that fire, right, in our bodies? So I talk about also, just when you look at the food and you look at nutrition, self-control behind what it is that we're eating, right? That repeated practice. And I just kind of read this off to you. It suggests mostly just, it occurs in 4 ways. You regulate your thoughts. You try to concentrate and shut out any noise when you're talking about food, right? So regulating your emotions and mood. All these are factors that cause regulating your impulses, such as resisting temptation, and regulating performance, right? Such as preserving despite the discouraged setback. I encourage, just as we strengthen our muscles and repeat our exercises, that we strengthen our willpower with regular engagement and self-control activities. And why am I saying this, right? Why is this even coming up? Because that vagus nerve, when we're looking at the nerve and we're looking at thoughts and stress, our daily routines can exacerbate our stress, which causes us to want ways to help de-stress. And the number one way for our body, and it knows that if you feed me refined sugar or something processed, the quickest way to come down and relax is your body knows, feed me refined sugar and starches. If we can practice that control, right, of like, okay, I know that my body is asking me to do this because I'm stressed right now, and the quickest way for me to relax, it's going to want sugar or something greasy or just something processed, right? So just another thing to understand what's going on and why this is happening, and what foods can we have in hand and prepared with, because we meal planned, because we have it in our toolbox, right? Are food that I just mentioned, whole healthy grains, any whole foods, walking the perimeter and understanding what I like and what I don't like, and how do I make it tasty? Because my body is going to want those stressor foods, which just exacerbates everything else in the body. And I talk about leaky gut a lot too. Who's heard about leaky gut? Everybody ever heard that term or word? Yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna take a quick sip. I'm gonna finish my coffee from this morning. So I reheated it. And I wanted to share, I talk about leaky gut, and I talk about a lot whole foods, and I have this picture up because I really do believe food is medicine. Sometimes though, our culture, our environment, it's like we can't eat enough to support what our body needs, right? So if support is needed, I say use probiotics and prebiotics. This is one brand that I talk about often, but who actually does use probiotics or prebiotics in their daily routine? Awesome. These are just some brands that I talk about. Supporting your gut, even medicine that you take, even Tylenol, foods that are greasy or starchy or refined, and sometimes even environmental, right? It doesn't even have to be necessarily something we're eating, but that causes just a lot of issues in our gut. I get a lot of IBS, a lot of IBS. I get a lot of just bloating. So all these stressors, right, are coming at us. So we can feed our bodies, and sometimes we just need more support. So use your probiotics, use prebiotics, some foods that support that. Who likes sauerkraut? That's one of the main ones that I say. Or kimchi doesn't necessarily smell like this amazing aroma. You're like, oh, I'm having kimchi today. But sometimes it actually is really good. It's good on eggs. But those are some of those foods that are really high in helping your gut microbiome, because that is one of the main culprits, is an unhealthy gut. A lot of things you guys derive from our gut going up, leading into that, right? That vagus nerve connects from gut all the way to brain. And yoga is one of them. We talk about parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, right? We can handle those stressors with breathing and movement and gentle meditation, or whatever your practice is. But how can we handle that with food? And again, it's fueling yourself properly and understanding how to do it, when to do it, that is going to sustain, right? So this isn't a diet. I like to always say sometimes in some of my other workshops, diets just don't work. They really don't. This is a Mediterranean diet, but it's actually a way of eating. And again, go more plant-based, go vegan, whatever, whatever's your jam, but it is what works for you, and making sure you get these specific nutrients to help you combat anything you're feeling inside, right? And any issues that you're having, any illnesses. Any questions so far with anything? What time? I don't even know what time we're at. Wow, that went by really fast. Okay, well, I definitely have more to say. No, but I can leave the tail end also for Q&A, but I like to say, really like saying hello, a healthy life, right? Saying hello to a healthy life, because it is a mindset, and it is a way of living and committing to that lifestyle and what that looks for you, and noticing the changes, right, in your body. Trying to have your diet impact your mood, and understanding that, wow, what I ate actually changes my mood, which also shifts this and this part, right? So knowing which foods, some of the ones that I mentioned. I will give out also, I like to share just a couple of recipes that are just good baselines. When I do some of my meal plans and my programs, I start with baseline recipes, and these are just recipes that you can always add something more to, or kind of make it your own. But the baseline is a baseline. We watch the sodium. That's a big one when I talk about foods, and that's extra sodium in our foods. That is a major, another one, guys, that causes a lot of inflammation in the body. Because, and what I also like to mention is I wanted to also say we need inflammation, right? There's a reason why it's there, and we need stress, but it's when it becomes chronic, and that's when it becomes a problem, right? So if I've torn my ACLs on both knees. So if I wanted stress, I wanted inflammation, right? Like I need that to support my tears, but we don't want that to be everyday pressure, because your body is going to react. You need that, but you don't need it chronically every day. So, and same thing with stress, right? That fight or flight, but we don't need that. We don't need to be on that tone pretty much all day, every day, because our body's going to react, and you're going to feel it. So let's really improve that. And again, just say hello to healthy life. I'd love to just kind of leave with that. and just start to really understand what that means for you, and how do you want to implement it, and really dive in. Right? Wait, is that it? Oh, there we go. Okay. Any other slides anybody wants me to put up? I can just put them up, since they're over here on the left, but I wanted just to leave a couple of, or just some time here for any just questions that anybody might have that maybe I didn't go over. I didn't get those sheets. So if anybody filled out those sheets, I want to just let you know, I didn't know if they were sent to me, but if anybody filled out any of those, that workshop form, if you wanted to mention anything and have any questions, just let me know. But I didn't see any of those sheets, just so you guys know. So I'm not aware.
Yeah, we had a couple of comments we put a couple questions on the registration form, and some people filled it out and some people didn't, but it was mostly about inflammation and like having the knowledge. They wanted to integrate, this thought into, or this diet into their practice, and to help their clients, and how to do that. But yeah, Tammy just had a comment.
So I can, oh, sorry. Good question, Tammy. The question, is it a good idea to add probiotics when you're first starting to change your eating plan? I would say yes. Every probiotic is the same. So sometimes you're going to have to play with some of them to see if that is aligning with your gut. But I would say yes. And obviously I always like to also say, consult with your physician, your PCP, because I don't have your records, right? And if you're mine, I would say yes. There's no hurt in that. If anything, you could always start with foods too, but adding the supplements is a good thing. You're welcome. And Michelle, to answer, you did mention that. So to answer the question about how do I integrate this into my business, right, into my practice, and it really, I guess it just depends on how you want it, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Because it could be education. That's always a win, right? The more knowledge, the more we can talk about this, the more people understand. I think that's a powerful thing. I don't know, I guess I can speak personally because you can have a lot of different workshops. So people come in and, specialists come in and talk about, or have a program aligning with what you're doing. And, I collaborate a lot with physicians and clinicians, because, if you're, let's say, in holistic health and in a whole, my background, which I don't think I mentioned also, but it is integrative health. So I started in a behavioral health facility that was an integrative team. And I swear, like, some of my long-term goals, if I can create these in every area, because you really do need everybody talking together to get to the root cause of some of these big problems, because it really is lifestyle medicine and prescribing, right, that the changes, adding on behavior changes and what nutrition you're eating. And so integratively would be ideal, but workshops are always a beautiful thing. Again, having professionals come in to kind of guide whatever it is that you're looking for your patients or your clients. I also, it isn't necessarily what my specialty is, but I do, for example, I get hired to do a lot of athlete talk. So if you're a practice or you're a coach that is looking, to talk to more about your athletes, about nutrition, and implementing that into maybe your program. I'm not really sure. It depends. Does that kind of answer? Because it could be so many things. I'm like, I don't even know where to begin, because it really can. It's just what it is. When I first started, because I was clinical, and when COVID hit, it was a new clinic, so I ended up taking it more to my own private practice. And I remember asking a fellow colleague, and it's like, I don't. Right now we're at home, so that really is what pushed me to go more virtual. But we were already doing a lot of telehealth, so it wasn't, much of a difference. But the online world is definitely a different world. So I always say, find what it is that your specialty is. That if I always say, I'll never repeat that word niche. Like it was such a prominent word, but it is what is you're passionate about and what you feel like you can really help people with. And I hope that I can help some folks today. Because an hour isn't enough. Really 45 minutes isn't enough. But again, if you ever have any more information that you're looking for or any more support, I'm here. But
that's great. So to work with you, if people are interested in working with you, is it to go to your website or is it your Instagram? I think you do most.
So my website is, yes, I know. My website will be launched next month. That is the
cool.
extended date. I saw our
Yep.
website. I just want to practice and help people. Website is not my forte, but no.
No, that's the thing. I know. That's what we're trying to help with, an alternative balance for sure.
Yes, very much. You really do. But no, it's so next month, but you can reach me via email, and definitely I'm on social media it's at Velocity at the Velocity. And you can, follow me, like me, and then just message me. And what I do now, it's stuff that'll be on my website. I just show you some of the information that, like the program styles and the additional services that I offer. And I will be launching, and it really is, you don't have to be local for it because it is national, but I'm launching a group program starting the beginning of January. So that's something that is just more affordable, but it also is very impactful. One of the biggest programs that people are in individually in my practice is the Kickstarter. Because it's like, when you do a program, I feel like you need at least 3 months to really, one, make some changes, but two, start to really get into a flow. And that's just also scientifically proven. 3 months is at least enough time to dive in. And if you want more, you can always add on and continue. But so we'll be doing that as a group. It's called the Kickstarter. And I also have that also an individual as well. But yeah, even just, I do a lot of kitchen resets. That was another thing I get asked. How do you come in and just clean my kitchen out? Right. I want to feel better and not have foods that cause kind of inflammation, but ever need support with that, I can come into your home virtually or physically, and we just kind of really dive in. But yeah, reach out, social media and email.
And I'll follow up if you want to send me your presentation, any other handouts and things, I can forward it on to everybody. And I'll put the recording up on the Facebook group, and I'll send that link as well in an email to everybody. So wonderful. If you have anything else that you want me to pass on, Irene, just email me. But yeah, I'll get that out today. And thank you. This is wonderful.
You're welcome. I hope I could help some folks. And thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you for being here, everybody. Enjoy your day.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.